And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ratings Show here on the Blue Abroad YouTube channel. It is Sunday, 11 a.m., 15th of March, 2026. Pommy, can you believe that we won the game on Thursday?
Mate, we're doing a win. We're doing a win. Paul and Terry, we're doing a win.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just happy that we get to do a rating on a win, to be honest.
Yeah. Never know how many of these we're going to be doing this year. Do you think the mood has settled a little bit?
Look, I'm not in the market of telling you how to feel about that win. Look, it's better to learn in a win. I'll turn into Brendan Bolton. I'd rather learn in a win than learn in a loss. But yeah, I mean, look, from a performance output, probably not what we expected. But look, at the end of the day, it's done now. 4 points, and we get a week off, which I don't know about anyone else. I am super excited to have 7 days where I don't have to think about these guys and just focus on other teams for 7 days. So, look, I'm already needing the break. Like, I was complaining 3 weeks ago about the round 2 bye. Dylan, if you're watching, give me more, mate. Every 3 weeks, if we can have a bye. I'm in, mate. I'm in.
Yeah. When you watched the replay, did you find yourself getting more context to the game than usual?
Or I'm going to say this game, just so chat knows, made me incredibly more angry than the Sydney game because I rate Sydney highly. So there was a part of me that was like, okay, if your effort drops to 50% against a side that is 100% and the skill gap, mental. Richmond, I don't think it could be more even in the terms of age and application. We're a little bit more experienced. We've definitely been there and done it. I wanted to see control, and I felt the second half, we did what we said when we were on the show with Tigercast. We gave them a sniff. And when you give them a sniff, and that shouldn't have happened for me, there should have been zero belief from Richmond by third quarter time. So... sad times.
So thanks for being here, guys. 11 a.m. on a Sunday. Sunday morning footy content for you. We are proudly brought to you by Horizon Finance Group. The Horse Dog has sponsored the show for the 3rd year running. I don't know if he's in the chat, but if he is, good morning to you, Mr. Horsborough. He also sponsors the team selection show on the Pommy and Oz channel.
He does. He gets around, does Nick? He gets around. He's a good friend of both of our channels. Good lad as well, Nick. If you get a chance to speak to him, he's look, for him to be part of my channel, it says all about him because look, I am the antichrist of finance people, aren't I? Like these are the people I bully. So he's genuinely a top guy. Can't recommend Nick enough. Great Carlton man and. Good humour as well. If you get him a few beers at him, he'll have you in stitches, I can tell you. Can confirm.
It does. It's true. So, yeah, if you're after any sort of finance needs, if you're looking to purchase a car, a house, whatever it is, Nick is your man. Great Carlton supporter. All right, let's get into it. What we're going to do, just to get back into the flow of the ratings, we will go player by player. One thing I forgot to remind you all to do, whenever we bring up a player up on screen with their heat map, feel free to have a guess at their rating. That's something that was really fun throughout the year last year that we were doing. But yeah, the big difference this year with the rating system is that the players are compared to the entire league in the same position over the last 10 games. So how does that work given there have been games that happened after the fact?
Okay, so we basically freeze round 0. So because we've done it on a Monday, round 1 didn't happen apart from Carlton.
Right.
So it's the 10 games prior to that. I think this is our last Thursday game now for a long time. So dependent if this show changes, it might flux to that way. But I mean, you get a pretty good indication because the top players are genuinely quite consistent in them 10 games. So the guys were wanting them to be.
All right. Let's get started. So,
added a new addition this week as well by popular demand. Big Pete Barker, if he's in chat, Mighty Blue 7. Little bit of a POM addition for you.
Ooh, okay. We'll let that be a surprise. Let's start off in the back line as the team was named. We'll go with Mr. Jacob Weitering.
So, I mean, Weitering's game is Weitering's game. And you can see there the AFL rating likes him. I've seen him actually cop a little bit of abuse this week, which I was surprised about because on the 3 rewatches, I didn't do a 4th this week. I actually treated myself 3 times to watching this game. But it did stand out to me quite apparently how strong he was. Contested wise, he was very good. He didn't get beaten when the ball was under his head. Strong as well. Strong just in and around the contest, especially around the ground as well. So, I mean, look, it wasn't the greatest game you ever see from Weitering, but it was by so mean the worst. And I thought he was easily our best backman by Flemington.
What was your opinion on the way that they set the matchups? We were on Tiger Cast behind Frenemy Lines on Wednesday night, and I was actually hoping that they would have put Lewis Young on Lynch to allow Weitering to be a little bit more free. What was your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, we'll get my final thoughts when we get to Lewis Young. Okay. I mean, ultimately, the result helps you, doesn't it? Like, unfortunately, we live in a world that even if it's the best idea, it's results based.
Yeah,
and that's life. So, I mean, in the end, 2 goals, 7, you can probably cope with because that's what 12, 7, 19 points. It's 3 goals. You could probably say, would you have said Lewis Young versus Tom Lynch was 3 goals? That would have probably been under par. I liked the fact we freed him up, and I've been saying the same as you, Terry. I want to see Weitering a little bit up the ground, controlling play, dictating it. I felt when the game was on the line, though, you switch it, you put your best on their best. Mm. And I don't think he has them opportunities. So I think that conversation becomes obsolete. We'll never know, though. In the end, it worked, Terry. And that's the main thing. Like, if it works, it works, even if it was a bad idea.
All right. So Weiters gets a 6.2. Okay.
And there's the addition.
Season average. I like it. That's very clever.
There you are. So you get to see a little bit of a Limp Biscuit rolling average.
I like it. All right, let's move over to Lewis Young, who definitely copped the blame for the loss on Thursday night. Oh, wait. We won.
You threw me then, Terry. I was like, what? It's the been a commission. A royal commission. So this one was interesting. It's interesting. Both of our major key defenders you're going to see now scored almost 0 on their ability to create attack, although the ball was around them quite a bit. So that is the big area for me that Carlton need to improve. One of your key defenders who are playing predominantly on a negating role have to create opportunities. Now, in the end, it's interesting because AFL rating has absolutely lambasted him. My rating system has kind of lambasted him as well, because even though it's 2 goals, 7, you've also got to think if that performance happens against Jeremy Cameron, does Jeremy Cameron do 2 goals, 7? And you have to think like that. And I do think this is where I have a little bit of an umbrage with Voss, because we've had this quite a bit in 2 years of ratings. He seems to like the players to learn trial by fire, and he doesn't help them. And I agree with equality. I felt like at this point here, deep into the 4th, Lynch is doing whatever he wants. Change the matchup. Jonty Foe punched Weiters. That was becoming a little bit of a wrestle. Switch them up a little bit. Let Weitering, because they were targeting him. And that's where I think you put your greatest interceptor to say, go on then, take the risk. We can get you on the slingshot. So from a Lewis point of view, Lewis is what you see. I hate the Lewis abuse. It actually bores me. Lewis is a bang average footballer. Lewis is a 5.5 out of 10 every week. If you are going into the game thinking Lewis Young is going to turn into prime Stephen Silvani, you need your head checked. Yeah. Like, he is going to be Carlton's second or third best key defender. Treat him like Jack Buckley. I just want him to break even on that matchup and we win the other two.
Yeah.
So I think he gets a lot of stick. He reminds me a little bit of Lachie Plowman at the minute. You know what you get. Yeah. You know what you get in Terry, though. Like, it used to annoy me when people complained about Plowman. I know he's not brilliant, right? No, he's not going to be the top 10 for his league. But you've just got to look at it as a break even. And ultimately, I think he broke even, if you use, to quote Ross the boss, he broke even. If you use maths, though, he got absolutely battered. But again, results based. He didn't get battered. 2 goals, 7.
Of the set shots that everyone's talking about with Tom Lynch, do you pay any attention to where he was getting his set shots and where we were forcing those opportunities?
Look, Carlton played the low percentage plays, which, I mean, look, credit to them. We've got to give them kudos for that. But if you look at, the player rating of Tom Lynch, it's negative 6.2, right? Which tells the story in itself. It's basically saying this guy should have gone mental. So you look at it. If you look at his expected scores, which is like a fabrication stat, they're saying it should have been 7 goals, 2.
Oh, wow.
So in reality, yes, we were lucky. But at the end of the day, I hate the word luck. Let's go with reality. In reality, Tom Lynch couldn't kick over a jam tin. So
yeah, I think it's very important to not get outraged by something that could have happened. And I think a lot of the time we get caught up in that. We forget what did happen.
Yeah, well, for me, what's important, you learn. So you're like, if that happens again, don't rely on 2 goals, 7. Think 7 goals, 2 when you do the matchup.
Yeah. So Lewis gets a 3.9. I also wanted to point out something. I did it in my review. He doesn't get a stat for this. Unfortunately, the ratings won't provide anything for this. But when Harry Dean got pushed into the post by Tom Lynch, it was only Lewis Young that showed any sort of force and remonstration. And again, there's no stat for it. But in terms of the team and the culture and those behaviors, I thought he needed some kudos for that as well.
Look, I mean, that is another conversation in itself. You know, one thing that kind of annoys me, and I agree with Caden here, don't like to live in them ifs worlds. From a data point of view, 100%. You've got to take it into account for planning. But what annoys me, Terry, is he cares, man.
Yeah.
And I do find it weird the hate he gets, because at times I feel like Weitering's a little bit laconic in his attitude. Like, he gets coward punched by Jonty Fall and doesn't really react. Where Harry Dean, what he said to me, if we could have 23 Harry Deans, I don't think we'd be in this mess. Because Harry Dean was like, you give it me, I'll give it back.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of want a bit more of that. But Lewis is Lewis, man. Like, look, if you're expecting him to be an all-star, long, winding road for you, I tell you.
This is going to be what it is. He'll probably be in and out of the side at times. Wade Dirksen will probably get a crack next game potentially, and Wade Dirksen might also be in and out of the side, or he might not. Maybe Wade Dirksen comes in and he stays in for the rest of the season. But this is just how I see Lewis Young at Carlton. He'll have his good times, he'll have his bad times, and it's just scapegoaty a little bit. Anyway, let's move on. Let's go to Harry Dean, because there's a lot to talk about with young Harry Dean from an attitude perspective. But what does the data say?
Okay, so this is the secret third row. So if you remember, these rows traditionally for the Blues have been the lowest scoring ones. So we're looking in this row in the AFL, we're looking at 6.1 would probably have you in the upper echelon. And effectively, I want you to go back to 90s football, think Paolo Maldini, think 80s Franco Baresi, players that are kind of the sweeper upper. They're literally in that kind of medium of not locking someone down, of not intercepting, making sure that you get any mistakes. And I thought Harry Dean was sensational. Incredible one-on-one. He got great marks for his defensive application. He got absolute just under top marks for disposal retention. So bearing in mind, a lot of his touches are in that back pocket there, which is an indicative of you're in the shit. You've got to get rid of it. So that was fantastic. 80% of high pressure kicks found actual targets, not the AFL's disposal efficiency stupid stat, which is if it goes near someone, actually hit targets. So that's a huge thing. So that shows that already we've got a little bit of composure. That shows we've already got a little bit of a guy that's willing to take the pressure furnace. You don't get stats for physicality. You don't get stats for being tough. You don't get stats for being, I hate the phrase, but an alpha male. I thought Harry Dean, out of all three of these boys, from an application point of view, I felt if you blurred them out and said, Pom, who's played the most games? I would have said Harry Dean.
Yeah.
Because he looked the most composed.
You can see, well, I could see, I don't know how everyone else watched it. When I watched it again, you can see he's only 10 games away from
best player.
Well, yes. But he gets his hands to the ball. They will become intercept marks in good time. It's not far away. And I think once we get to season 2 and 3 onwards from there, you can kind of see it's going to click pretty well for him pretty soon. He's just got to stay obviously healthy and, touch wood, he just continues to be able to back it up and recover. But yeah, the competitiveness, the attitude, all these things. And I have no doubt by the end of the season, if he's still there, still playing, he'll be taking 2 to 3 or 4 intercept marks a game. And all of a sudden you start seeing the runway for the future. Weitering, Dean, O'Farrell, there's a runway for what's to come.
I was genuinely excited. I've got 2 things I want to cover just quickly. Harry O'Farrell replaces Lewis Young. Fuck me. It's good times. Good times there, because suddenly all 3 of them are very good users and O'Farrell's in a different league. And I want to shout out Enzo here. Mate, that is the best comment ever. This is why I don't give much credence to effort two-way running, because it is exactly that. Pride. Defending isn't a skill. Defending comes in that pride for yourself, and you don't want to lose, right? That's respect for yourself. Absolute spot on. And Harry Dean, it's in abundance when you watch him play. It's in abundance. He takes it personally if you get one up on him. And if everyone, and you can't teach it. You can't teach it. Self-pride is something that's learned through life and your parents and then your own learnings. He's got that in abundance. So Peter, if you ever come across this, you've done an amazing job with your kid, because he plays within the boundaries of the laws of the game, but he plays hard and he'll do anything to make sure he wins. Make sure, and if he loses, he learns straight away. You saw there was a couple of times Jonty Fall, when he slid to him, got the better of him with that stutter step.
Yeah.
Only happened for 2 minutes. After that, Harry Dean closed that down and they moved Jonty Fall quite quickly. So incredible work by Harry. For a two-gamer, Terry. Two-gamer to have that IQ. It's hard.
Just want to play a little 30-second clip here.
Yeah, you love the contest, Harry. You don't mind giving it to the opposition at the right times. Also, it's just a good part of your game.
Yeah, well, if they're going to give it to me, I'll give it back.
Yeah, I like that.
Straightforward like that.
Yeah, perfect. And that's the way it should be as well. I was coached by your dad at the Bulldogs, and he used to say the same things to us as young players coming through. So it's obvious why you would play that way also.
Yeah, you're just not going to cop it. Obviously, you're going to give some back and show that you're not here to be pushed around. So, yeah.
Just look at the posture when he's been spoken to. Looks a man, like just the basics, the fundamentals, the old school way.
He's got that. You know what makes me happy as well is how unrefined he is already. He's fidgety. I hope we don't lose that charm, because that's Harry Dean being himself. And he plays like himself. And that's why I always say, don't manufacture these players, because eventually you will lose that edge. That's Harry Dean. I reckon Harry Dean, if we went home and played Monopoly with him, he wants to win.
Yeah.
This ain't family fun. He wants to win Monopoly. So very strong score, bearing in mind the position he played. And that average for a second gamer in the hardest position in football, incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just going to take some time. Unfortunately, people don't want to hear it, but yeah, this is the runway. This is the future. And we just got to get as many games into these guys as possible. Then we move along. We get to Ollie Florent. How do we see his game here? Interesting with the AFL rating.
So remember now, we're in the position that 7s and 8s you should be able to get with your eyes closed. This is modern day football cheat code. When you see a 4.8 AFL rating, time to panic if you're a halfback flanker. And what does that mean? It means that traditionally this guy is getting a lot of the ball, but there's no direct benefits from it. And look, he's steady. And when I put into the perspective of how much we paid for him, incredible return. But this here, spot on equality. It's kind of irritating because I feel like I could name 50 footballers in the league currently right now that would get the amount of ball right now, and I would have gone, wow. Where this was just okay. So this is genuinely Nick Newman's position. I'm excited to see Nick Newman being a little bit more endeavour, being a little bit more harder, being a little bit more direct. But ultimately, it's okay. I always do worry, though, when you don't have tackles in this position and their hit up is half forward.
Can you debug the myth, or the myth we'll call it? So, I mean, surface level, looked at his numbers, 83% disposal efficiency, 606 meters gained, running halfback. But yeah, clearly even the eye test on the night wasn't as damaging. Why the discrepancy? Why does it look like disposal efficiency is good and meters gained is good, but the impact wasn't there?
Well, I mean, look, the scoreboard impact is way below AFL average. Zero score launches from this position. When you're nearly at 1,000 net meters gained, so that's a stat, including just how far the ball's traveled, but then also takes into account almost like rushing yards. If you watch NFL, when I give you the ball and how far you run. But you've got to remember that the worst stats in AFL are kicking efficiency and disposal efficiency. Kicking efficiency, particularly because people use that to say Ollie Hollands is a good kick.
Right.
AFL defines an efficient kick as being in the vicinity of a target and not being turned over. So, you know, them long bombs we do down the wing, as providing that hits a pack, that's considered a pass, right? Where true kicking efficiency for me is I kick to you, Terry, you mark it. However, in AFL's definition, if I kick it to you and it kind of lands near you and you can still retain possession, that's like, way, well done, Pom.
What if you kick it to a contest and your opposition like spoils the ball to ground? Is that an efficient kick?
So I'll read you the definition. So it is, so the champ starter disposal efficiency. Tell you what, how many efficiencies do we have here? Like explained. So it is a kick or handball that finds a teammate or results in a beneficial outcome, a 50-50 contest that doesn't result in a turnover, but does include stoppages and the like. So basically, that could come down, hit, and you grab the ball, the opposition grab the ball, we get a ball up. That would be an efficient kick.
Gotcha.
So it's a very flawed stat. I would call that, we've all got, if you've got kids love a theory called near enough is good enough. I hate it. I am Mr. Near enough is good enough, though. But I try and teach my kids to have a high standard of output. It's basically near enough is good enough, where I don't like that stat. I really don't. I think people hide in that.
How do you see Ollie Florent and the role when Nick Newman returns to the team as he gets a 5.5?
Look, I'd rather, for me, what worries me is, like, I would be so turned on, Terry, if we had 890 meters gained, net meters again, that excites me. That says to me, okay, you've done Jake Lloyd in 2019, you've done Rory Laird in 2021. It's going to be interesting how Nick Newman takes that role because Ollie Florent isn't a great defender. Neither is Adam Sard. Nick Newman is. So it's going to be interesting how Voss does that because you might get more attacking output from Newman. You are going to get better defense. But if you keep the other two and play them in a different role, you're going to lose a little bit of defense. So it's a balancing act here, Terry. I do think just naturally on our list, though, we lack a halfback that excites me. I don't look at our halfbacks. If I was an opposition player, I wouldn't be like, oh, you better tag Zack Williams. Oh, you better tag Lachie Cowan. You better tag Ollie Florent. I just think, meh. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think, meh. They're going to get a lot of the ball and they're not going to really hurt us on transition. So that's definitely an area Carlton have got to look at, I think, moving forward.
Okay. So 5.5 for Ollie Florent, and then we get to Zack Williams. That's a very interesting heat map with the one possession there being the game-sealing possession with the goal to the right of your screen there. What did you make here?
You see, I like this game. I like Zack Williams down the back. I'm going to be a full advocate here because I feel like he's got a little bit of chutzpah in him.
Yeah.
So when you go to Ollie Florent, so if we do what's called the retention disposal, so that is basically the closest we've got to a pure disposal efficiency. He was at 60% retention. This guy's at 80. So that makes me excited. 600 net meters gained. So that's exciting. 2 of them were score launches, numerous scoreboard involvement if you take away the goal as well. This is kind of what Carlton do. It's funny, though, if you look, it's the right side of the ground. Carlton like to attack the left side of the ground. We're very Collingwood-esque. That Collingwood seemed to go down one end of the ground, not the other. I would like to see a switcheroo here. Like against Melbourne, let's just say Newman's not ready. I'd like to see Florent be on the right side and be more the outlet. And I'd like to see Zack Williams be given a little bit more of a focal point and say, take the game on. Because I don't care what anyone says. People say he can't defend. He can. People say he's a lot better than the rest. But he's also got something about him. He's got that eye. And I think that's something that you can't teach, Terry. The eye for a pass. He's got the vision to try and make the game change on its head. He's got flaws. A lot of them have. But I do like Zack Williams in the ball in hand more than anyone else in that back line.
Yeah. I think we're more likely to generate an end-to-end passage of play with Zack Williams being the starting point of that play than most of them back there. I mean, we'll get to McGovern eventually. I kind of like that they started where they did and then switched when they did. I mean, it just creates a bit more for the opposition to have to scout and be ready for. So I think maybe it's just more of a timing question. Like, when do you make the switch forward? Obviously, it worked perfectly on Thursday night. The moment that he was switched forward was the moment that mattered because he kicked the goal and the matchup was there and the entry was good and he took his opportunity and so you tick all that off. I just wonder if that's something to play with better in the future.
Something coaches do, Terry. Like, look, I don't mean to laugh. I watch way too much football with people on stream, but this isn't new. Players just being thrown forward, like off change position. That's tactics. That's a change of matchup. You could see Richmond was so used to the other Muppets we were playing there that when Zack Williams moves, he moves different. He acts different. It threw them. McGovern does the basics, Terry, in the forward line, which is so frustrating that somehow Kemp, Moyer hasn't quite got. And then I think Moyer's more like Mitch McGovern than Kemp is. So Moyer's got that ability to be that conduit from midfield to forward. So it's fascinating to watch that we're praising Zack Williams, we're praising McGovern, but other clubs do this, Terry. You put a point of difference there. I think Zack is a halfback who's got the option when you need a goal, throw him up there. But it is quite detrimental that he read the pace of the game better than players that have played more games in the forward line than him.
Yeah. So a 5.7 for Zack Williams on the evening, and that wraps up, I think, the back line there. Oh, no, I think we've got one more here. Lachie Cowan. How did you view his game?
I really liked Cowan's game. I really like Cowan's game. Look, it screamed I haven't played enough football.
Yeah, I thought he was underdone a little bit.
But I look, the things that I enjoyed there, you know what I do like about Lachie Cowan's game, and it's something that he's added over the last 24 months, is just a little bit more calmness. He was probably one when he first came in. He has one of the biggest kicks you'll ever see. Like when he was at Tassie, he used to take the piss with how far he could kick it. Do like the fact he's looking to retain possession first. He's looking to do the safe thing. There's something there with Lachie. Like, look, I think Lachie long-term is going to take that Mitch McGovern role, that sneaky little third, fourth, who can do that. Physicality strong. It wasn't the greatest game I've ever seen, but it did look like this was a training game to get match fitness, just in the way he played.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly how I saw it. So when I watched the VFL the week before, he and Carroll were managed. They both played the 3 quarters and went off. I thought Carroll looked better than Lachie on the day in the VFL, just a little bit more fitter, I guess. Different position. He was also on the wing. Lachie hit top speed. I think the main thing is that they both got through unscathed, no injury. They get the week off now to freshen up, and I'd like to see him sooner rather than later now go back to what he was doing at the back end of last year. Remember that they were getting the ball in his hand. He was further up the ground. He wasn't stuck in that back pocket. So, maybe Thursday night was just to help get his fitness back up to where it needs to be. But I think the sooner we get him playing that level of footy he was last 8 games of last year, the better version of him we'll see.
Look, just over 60% game time as well. So the way the rotation works, only him, Hock and Campbell Gray that they selected purely for that ruck relief role had less time than him. So Hock just a little bit more time than him. So second least amount of time. But I like it. Look, genuinely, he's one of the few players that I've covered in the draft that still looks like Lachie Cowan in the draft. So that's a huge positive.
That's a compliment. It's a massive compliment for a Carlton.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And I love Lachie. I loved him in the draft. Still love him now. Still one of my favourites. So, yeah. Keep going, mate. Keep going, Lachie.
Absolutely. We love his work. It's 5.2 there.
Not bad for a training game.
Yeah. Then we get to Samuel Walsh. Copped a nice elbow to the scon. Got a nice shiner on the cheek just here. A nice cut. 30 possessions. Midfield role. How'd you watch it?
This one is the one that frustrates me the most because I think as like all fans of sporting fraternities, we are partial, Terry, aren't we, to glazing our own. And I would say this, you give any other top-line midfield 30 touches each, I'm expecting the scoreboard to be incredibly one-sided. Would that be fair? So out of the 30 touches, he had 18 in the first half, right? Which was a good start. But for the second week in a row, that third quarter, he had only 4 touches. Now, for me, what separates, I think there's 4 tiers, right? Tier 1, why are you there? Tier 2, average. Tier 3, good. But then we get into the great. The great. And what separates the great from the good is their ability to read the game. And this is what scares me. And he scored the lowest tier of midfielders in this game for the stat we call scoreboard impact. So their ability to create. That is where we need Walsh can go up a level because he has got the ability to change a game. Now, I think part of it is tactics and part of it is the way he's used. But there is so much more here. Like at the minute, it's quite frustrating. And this is because of his standard. At the minute, I feel like he's at 60% of his output, where I think there's another 40% to go. So, okay, this game is going to be ranked as good. If you get 30 touches as a midfielder, it's hard to get a red. I will say this. If you are honest with yourself, you want Walsh with 30 touches to have a Neil-esque game. You'll notice it. That is Walsh's next. Now, that partly comes down to him, but that partly comes down to how the club structure up and how they use him. Because at the minute, Jagga Smith and Sam Walsh are on like a sixth sense. They see each other before it happens. So that, for me, they've got to do it. They've got to find a way to unleash him. because that aerobic capacity is huge. And I'll be honest, that second half, if you look at Sam Walsh in his draft year and I list all of his capabilities, that's the game that Sam Walsh tears apart. Tears apart.
So a 6.2 for Sammy Walsh for 2 weeks in a row. 6.2.
Right. Consistent. Now here we are. Ollie fucking Euler. This guy here. So the big thing about Jagga, we go back to his draft. So if you go back to the draft, we always have one guy that I call Mr. Consistency who wins pick 1 in the POM rankings. Jagga Smith was that. We'll go back to his negatives, though. His negatives. Jagga Smith's negatives that year. It was probably his penetration. It was probably his drive. It was the fact that he had a couple of games where he had over 25 touches with less than 50 meters gained, 2 of which were negative meters gained, which is actually quite hard to do. One thing I want to give the club a kudos for, I think it might be mainly Jagga, though, is Jagga has added more strings to his bow in 12 months than I have ever seen from a Carlton footballer. If you go back to the first training session, me and Terry went to see, I made a statement that some people slated me for. And I was like, Jagga is miles ahead of Sam Walsh, like in the first year, and he hasn't played. But just watching him training, Sam Walsh is bang average compared to the levels that Jagga was putting out, right? People are already being high level with Jagga and going, oh, he turned it over a few times. Good, because he's trying to make things happen. Top players turn it over in the midfield 3 to 7 times. No one complains about it. It's because the rest of the team are rubbish. But things that excite me, scoring almost maximum points for his position across the AFL for scoreboard impact. A staggering, Terry, 670 meters gained, right? That is fantastic. What does excite me is the score launches from around stoppage and clearance. He gets the ball driving forward. There was almost a Goggins 1960s, 70s Geelong about him. If you ever watch highlights of him and Polly Farmer, that once he receives the ball, he drives that ball out of that pack into someone else. So it's really, really strong. So for a guy that's not playing predominantly the first user, to outshine the rest of your team, bar Cripps, in arguments like score launches, scoreboard impact, that is huge. That is huge because he's literally meant to be 3rd to 4th on the amount of opportunities he gets. He's got a very loose role. This is a very special footballer. No people are comparing him to Nick Dacos. Cool your jets. Cool your jets. He's Jagga Smith.
He's just
But
Jagga.
so far, I am very impressed. He has added so many strings. I can't tell you how different Jagga is now till he was 2 years ago when I was covering him and had the pleasure of covering him. He is a different. I can't recognize him for a good reason, Terry. If you close my eyes and you blurred him, I would be like, that's never fucking Jagga, is it?
No.
Like that would be my reaction because he's totally different footballer. Incredible work.
And said it to about Harry Dean. Give this guy 10 more games.
People are going to hate this, Terry. Do you know who he reminds me of?
Mark Murphy?
Yeah. They're going to hate me. Do you remember his MVP year?
Yeah, man.
Right? Carlton have had previous of how you absolutely destroy a player like that, right? So just think, what did we do with Mark Murphy? Don't do it. If Mark Murphy had kept that MVP form.
Yeah. The stat that stands out to me for Jagga was, there's the score involvements you can talk about, and there's 11 there. 11 ground ball gets. He's just such a one-touch player.
And can I just say, how many times do we use ground ball gets to hurt players? Because last year, that was one of my complaints about Hewett. Why is he winning so much and not generating anything offensively with him? This guy converts. This guy here is special. I hope, and equality, I know you're bantering, but I really hope Carlton avoid giving him the primary midfielder role. Avoid that. Let Hewett, Cripps, the rest of them get battered. Keep him here because this role, and then eventually Sam Walsh, where he's playing now, becomes Cody Walker, that is Will Levi Ashcroft levels. That is what you are about to have. You have got an era of Jagga Smith. I will go on record. Jagga Smith, if he keeps his trajectory up, I won't have to hear things about Diesel, Craig Bradley, things like that. This will be our generation's Craig Bradley and Diesel. We will bore the shit out of the people that replace me and Terry. Will be in the comments and ratings going, he's no Jagga Smith, mate. No Jagga Smith. Like, we'll be that guy. And they'll be like, shut up, old man. And I'll be like, nah, you haven't seen him. I was there. Jagga.
You weren't there, man. You weren't there.
No, quality. I know you were taking the piss. That's what worries me too. I feel like Carlton, we did it with Mark Murphy, didn't we? Oh, let's drag Mark Murphy into the ball and kill him. Just leave him there. If you lose, you lose. But this guy here is a special breed. Protect him at all costs.
It's very good. 6.6.
Look at him. 6 game 2. Stop it. Stop the count.
What about Cripps? What about the captain?
You know what? I feel it's my duty as the chief analyst on this channel to protect Cripper. Because I don't see what anyone else is seeing. I don't see what anyone else... Everyone's saying he's shit. He's gone. The game's gone past him. There is still a place for Patrick Cripps, and we only have to look at Patrick Cripps. Elite in contested, elite in total clearances, elite in first possession, elite in first possession to a clearance, elite in first possession generating clearances, elite for net meters gained from his handballs. You are just seeing the system change. The top player on the ground for scoreboard impact in the midfield, right? So this is absolutely blagging my head. What you are finding, though, chat, what you are finding is the era of playing 2 to 3 of these players is dead. The era of these players being your primary outlet for kicking goals is dead. We are now in a role where these guys merely are accessories to Jagga Smith, to Sam Walsh's of this world. And Cripps, lo and behold, is the best player in the league at generating them kind of chains. So at the minute now, Carlton are in a situation that I think if Fagan had this team, if Kingsley had this team, Beveridge had this team, it would be Cripps or Hewett, not and. It would be Cripps or Hewett. Cripps in this game, yes, okay, he missed them set shots, right? He had 3 behinds. I think the era of what Carlton have got to do right now is this guy here, if he's going to, for the next, presumably 2-3 years, play 80% on ground, which is where he's starting to oscillate, Michael Voss needs to realise that this isn't 1990s and this isn't a physicality game. And also has got to understand for 10 years, Cripps has been a one-man army. His body is going. You have got to break this glass now in case of emergency. So I hope when Cherry comes back, another guy that Terry, you know, gets a lot of ground ball gets, works hard. I want to see Cripps not on the ball 100% of the time, starting the chains, and when you need it, you bring him in. You bring him in on the ball, get him there.
AKA in the third quarter or the second half, when things change and the opposition start getting on top of the contest, that's when you use the timing of Cripps.
Mate, 100%. When you've got Pittonet, Cripper and Hewett in there, it looks garbage. It looked garbage last year. The game has gone on 10%, 15%, a little bit quicker. It looks woeful at the minute. You are in a privileged position now where I am shocked when I was speaking to someone at the club last week and they were like, Cripper maybe does 1 forward session a month. And I was like, and then I was talking to them about the Bulldogs. They literally the last 2 preseasons, Bontempelli has trained exclusively with the forward line. Why? Because Beveridge knows he's getting to 30. I want him in the forward half of the ground, and then I use him when I need him, right? Yeah. Protect his body. And I'll use the quote that Beveridge evidently said to Bonnie from the guy that told me this, because he works at Footscray. But he said, I want to protect your body. Let the young guys cut their teeth to Bont. That's what Beveridge said. Let them cut their teeth. So basically saying, look, I'll let the other guys do the heavy lifting now. You've done it. That's what we need to do with Cripps. So I just think here, people need to lay off him. Like everyone, like I saw a comment the other day going, Cripps could be our Bont. Grow up. Bontempelli is a freak. Like I'd love Cripps to be Bontempelli, but that's not going to happen. But what you can do, right, is adapt his role. So I'd like to see Cripps work in the forward line a little bit more, work with the forward group, break glass in case of emergency though. Third quarter, case in point. If he'd only had 2 or 3 centre bounces to the third quarter, because let's be honest, all due respect to Richmond, you don't need him there. Then the third quarter, Cripps, you're fresh, go in there, win us 4 or 5 clearances, get us some ascendancy, handball it out to Jags, happy days.
To be fair though, the criticism that's going to come and has come for Lachie Fogarty needs to be as equal for Cripps. Because, and I think a lot of the focus is on Fogarty and Tom Lynch's missing, or Tom Lynch's 2-goal-7. Cripps had to kick that one 20 meters out, wherever it was. Just had to.
100% did. But I mean, we've got to judge. I also judge the player on the role that the coach has blatantly done.
Yeah.
And the role was be the bull. And he did that incredibly well. I don't disagree though, Terry. He could be better, but I think the criticism Cripps is getting at the minute, he can't help being slow, Terry.
Well, thank God we didn't drop him.
Do you know what I mean? He can't help.
So he responded after his lowest score ever in this ratings show, 7.2 this week. Let's move along. Let's get to George Hewett. So the AFL rating says 18.6, but his heat map looks very similar to Sam Walsh's.
So the first worry I have in this one here, Terry, is when I check and see that he's played around 65% a game.
Right.
That worries me because I'm like, okay, you've got the extra midfielder. You've already got the best in the league over the last 10 years at extracting the ball. And so you're telling me he's the extra, the point of difference? That's a worry. Look, this game wasn't bad, but I didn't see the point. This feels like quite often when we do this show, and I've been the biggest advocate of this guy. I absolutely froth it. But when you're trying to play the way you're trying to play, I don't quite understand this role. You get me? Like, it's a solid role, but I feel like when I look at Richmond, not thinking, shit, we're going to have to be defensive at some point. I'm thinking, let's be a bit ostentatious. Let's have a bit of fun. Let's take the game to them. It's a weird role. This doesn't suit George. It's like last year he was our offensive midfielder, which I hated. But now he's kind of like this. You know what role this is? Matt Kennedy before we traded him. It's kind of like we put him in there because we can't name a 5th midfielder.
Yeah. Where do you think the midfield mix goes when Chera's back?
I'm going to be very interested. I'll be honest. I'll be very interested because I think he's got to play. But like the only way this role works is for me is that Cripps has a new role and you spurt him in, and that's the relief for George Hewett. Like personally, I think George's best work is just being the sacrificial lamb. Do this 60-70% of the time, throw Cripper in for the 30 so he's fresh, being our captain. I mean, look, credit to Hewett. He did what he had to do throughout the game. I don't hate it, but I'm just trying to work out what that looks like moving forward.
Yeah. Well, on this game it was a 4.6. Then we get to the man that we mentioned earlier, Cooper Lord. Bit different this week.
I mean, I just said MK, Matthew Kennedy, and I'm feeling like I'm seeing Matthew Kennedy with a little bit of Will Setterfield. Like Cooper Lord, I want to give Cooper Lord a shout out. I remember him a lot in his draft. I really enjoyed him. I was very shocked he didn't get picked up as well, because I thought he was literally the reason all the other Muppets at Sandy that year got drafted, because he just literally did the stuff they didn't want to do.
Yeah.
What can I say about him? I can't believe how much endurance he's added to his game. I wouldn't say he was as bad as Stocker running wise when he got drafted, but he would probably be the next level up. I love the fact he has done that. I love the fact I can watch him on the wing and run 14 Ks. Like, that is crazy. The other thing I'll credit him for a pseudo wing role, this is, and I can't believe we're commenting it, but ranked elite for defensive running, ranked elite for retention out of the back half of the ground, above average for kick inside 50 retention. They're pretty impressive for a guy that this isn't his role. This isn't his mandate. So this is going to be an interesting one. I feel like he's already shown enough credits in the bank to be allowed to play on the ball. I really like him. Yeah. And you know what? I'm proud of him, because I'll tell you what, this would be very disheartening. There's a lot of young kids around that wouldn't be able to do what Cooper's doing, because he's
been forced to evolve his game and add more strings to his bow. And I mean, my mind, honestly, as you've been talking, I'm just thinking, when Chera's back, is it a midfield mix of Cripps, Walsh, Chera, Cooper Lord, Jagga Smith? Push Chera out to the wing or Walsh out to the wing. The heat map that we see from George Hewett, I'd be curious to see what that looks like if it's Cooper Lord.
You know what I love as well? There's something that we do incredibly bad, right, compared to the other teams, and that's our ability that you look at the top teams, it's not raw pace. You rarely see one ball pick the ball up and run through. That pace is generated by the ball being in motion, handball change, and then they hit the runner. You watch Cooper Lord when he does oscillate in that stoppage, when we do that stupid zone kick in. So that red down the left-hand side is Carlton doing that big up and under kick to a contest. Let's hope we keep it.
Yeah.
You watch how many times he manages to take contact, take two players on, handball straight out to a marauding Jagga Smith. They've got that wavelength already. That kind of excites me. Imagine if that was on the ball, Terry. Imagine if it was Cooper Lord taking the first guy, taking the second guy, giving Jags the space to do his little dance through. I'm intrigued to see how it is.
Yeah. Equality says here, forced to play kind of defensive wing. Fair enough. We need that, but come on, get him over the ball. Yeah. Well, look, the other guy that's in the reserves playing the defensive wing role is Blake Acres. And I think a lot of the conversation is we don't want to have him there. But do you think Blake Acres comes back into this team soon?
I don't see a dramatic difference apart from maturity in Chess, Carroll.
Maybe when we get to Chesser, we'll get
I mean, it's genuinely. I mean, genuinely none of them four turn me on at the minute, Terry. To be fair, to play that role.
Fair. Well, a 4.9 for Cooper Lord. Then we get to Matty Carroll, who played. He played on the wing, right? The defensive wing role. That's what he did.
Yeah, and as you'll see, we are back to situation 2.0 of playing multiple defensive wings, which is good to see. I mean, I think it's important as well that what we have a look at is, like, essentially the old plan was keep it tight, pressure, win contests. Yep. Now I'm very happy that we're trying to open the ground up, keep the ground fat. That is really important. And then use our transitional run to try and score more. The problem is that you are very, very open on the counter-attack as you adjust. And the problem is Carlton's wingers have been trained to not keep their width. If you remember, the last player that did was Jackson Binns, kicked 2 goals. Yeah. And he drops because it was bad. Carlton like to condense. Now we're trying to play open. This is where probably this role doesn't do it. What can I say about him, though? Kick inside 50 retention rate, elite. Intercepts, elite. Turnovers in the elite category as well. Not many mistakes. Strong rebound numbers. Great. This is scary, right? This is the problem with Carlton's wings. The only player who played wing this game that has above average for net meters gained. That's genuinely terrifying.
Wow.
Because usually you have one. Really like this role. Now, I think he's going to be typecast. Now, Matt Carroll, you'll remember his draft profiles. I do like a sandy boy. That's underrated. This guy here, I feel, if you watch him in the draft, the first thing you would notice is I don't want this kid playing this way in AFL. But I want him in the wing. I want him attacking. Because everything he did was with a devil-may-care attitude, a 9 out of 10 risk factor. He needs to be higher up the ground. I love his intent. There is something there. The weakness, he loves a blaze. He loves to fire the shot maybe too early. This is where I come back to. A lot of players have done this in their career that have been regarded as the best in that position. Carl Amon, right? It's taken him nearly 10 years to be retrained as a halfback who doesn't do stupid decisions. But the best Carl Amon you saw was marauding forward, blazing it deep on the goal square, hoping someone kicks a goal. I feel like Matt Carroll needs the attacking role. Like, I've got a fear we turning him into someone else who we're going to talk about a bit later. But I'm loving what I'm seeing at the minute. First game back, bro. Very impressive.
Yeah, man. No, yeah, look, he and Cowan both somewhat underprepared compared to the rest of the players on the field, given it was their first. I mean, they played the VFL, 3/4 of the VFL the week before. They both did most of the preseason, so there is that. It's not like they didn't have a body of work, but in terms of match time and match fitness and match intensity, it's actually a blessing that they got through unscathed. I think the bench time, the extra on the bench helps with that this year. Guys who are maybe closer to 50-50, like who knows, maybe only one of them plays if it was last year where you had a 4 and a sub. But I
want to give him a shout out as well. 7 minutes into the third, he actually got a shoulder with Campbell Gray.
Yeah.
And Campbell Gray is like 944 foot too. Like he's huge.
Boy.
And he absolutely drops him like a sack of shit. Like genuinely hilarious from Matty Carroll. That he bodied him.
20 years of age, this kid. He's 20 years old and he's just played his 18th game. And
he's got the best story in AFL. He was effectively delisted, told fuck off. And to come back under that duress and be easily best 23.
Yeah.
Credit to him.
Gets a 6 for his game. Then we go over to Campbell Chesser. Wow. Don't know if I've seen a heat map like this for a winger. He's clearly switched to the other end of the ground.
Yeah, so Campbell, I mean, this kind of excites me, kind of terrifies me.
Okay, why?
Because it tells me that Voss is seeing what I'm seeing and what the data's saying, that we need an attacking winger. It terrifies me that the answer is the obvious and we're going with the bizarre at the minute. So Campbell Chesser was given this role. Fascinating to watch. Look, I'm going to be honest with Campbell Chesser. I am seeing Jack Noons 2.0, and we know that I love Jack Noons. Why do I like Jack Noons? Because he just is an effort-based player. He's your perfect winger too. He's your second winger. He's going to be okay. He's not going to be spectacular. He's probably going to break even. He's solid defensively, good under the high ball, gets a little bit of game time into him as well. I think some of it. CFC, he is the Jim Furyk of kicking. That kicking action's like an octopus falling out of a tree. But aside from that, he works hard. I think he's an upgrade on Blake Acres long term. I think his ceiling is there. It's fascinating to watch, though, because he's starting to learn at Carlton Football Club. Don't rest on your laurels. We don't have one role. You could play 8.
So he's 22 years old, and he's just played his 38th game. He will need most of, if not half of the season. I don't think he sits in the category of like Will Hayward and Ollie Florent, who are a lot more senior, who can, figure it out. They're a lot more comfortable within themselves. This guy's still settling, I think, within the club. So, yeah, it's an interesting comparison there. Do you think if Blake Acres was to come into the team, it would be at the expense of this guy? Or do you think they can coexist in the same team?
I think if you ask Michael Voss, he'd rather have Blake Acres because of the experience. I think Voss does seem to favour older players. If it was me and I'm Michael Voss, I'd rather have Campbell Chesser. Like for me, I agree. I don't know where his ceiling is, but I think from the eye and just how he's going about it, I think the ceiling is higher than Akers. You know what you're getting with Akers. So if it goes Pete Tong by round 8, Blake Akers is going to be ready. Watching the VFL this week, Blake Akers didn't genuinely impress me for the level. Like, he did some nice things, but I think we've got to look to the future. And I think Chess, I feel like Chess, long-term, Chess and Ollie are competing for that role. Because I think people are forgetting about Cotters, the Ginger Ninja. I mean, that is the guy that was the last player to play the attacking wing role and thrive. So I know he's TikTok dancing at the minute, but when he stopped TikTok dancing, I think he's ready.
Chess is the one that's got genuine pace, though, out of all of them, right? He'd be the quickest.
So they say. Sorry.
That's the reputation I have of him.
So they say. Look, I like Chess. Look, he's got something. I don't think we've seen the best of Chess, but I think there's enough there for me that I'm not panicking, because I think he's going to be at worst a bang solid footballer, and I like bang solid footballers.
Yeah, persist. Keep persisting. All right, so we get to 4.5 for his game, and we start moving along, and we get to young Oliver Hollands. Yeah, poor lad. It wasn't his night. It was not it.
So I said to Terry off camera, if you blurred players out, so I didn't know who they were, and you just said, Pom, this is someone that went top 15 in the draft class, I could not tell you that's Ollie Hollands. I don't see Ollie anymore. I just see, like, it's kind of a dude going through the motions at the minute. And I don't actually blame him, because I feel like when we got Ollie Hollands in this team, we had this stupid idea of the defensive wing, and we've kind of got a hard-on by the fact that he runs 16 kilometers every game and gone, oh, okay, he can just be the dog's body. And I know Michael Voss says don't look into the past, but it's hard not to look in the past when the first move you make is put him on halfback when that was disastrous. And, like, I look at Jasper Fletcher. I was huge on Jasper Fletcher that draft year. Thought Brisbane were getting a player. But everything Jasper Fletcher could do, Ollie Hollands could do twofold. He was more direct, more attacking. And one thing that I've lost from Ollie is that give and go. Ollie used to do the give and go, roll high up the ground, overlap run, was an absolute dynamo. It's a worry, Terry. And look, negative 0.5 AFL rating. Like,
yeah.
Johnny,
when he's in the handball, when he's
I
in the
couldn't agree
handball
more.
chains, when he's running and in the handball chains, he looks fine. You saw that kick. It might have been in the third quarter. He turned over the first one, got it back pretty much, and he missed the second one, and you saw his head drop a little bit as well. Yeah, it wasn't.
So
it
there's
wasn't an efficient
rankings.
game.
So very poor is the nice way of Pom saying, please stop doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Ranked very poor for his position this year, the last 10 games for inside 50s. Kicks into inside 50s, generating scores. Turnovers. Score involvements. Scoreboard impact. But he's ranked elite in his metric for rebound 50s. Like, that's not Ollie's game. And he genuinely... And Quali, I disagree with you. I don't think it's harsh. At this stage, you are talking about the wing role and the small forwards are traditionally the easiest positions for a debutant to do. Proved by Caleb Windsor, Sam Davidson, players like Ollie Dempsey. It's a fucking easy role. Do you know what I mean? Like, for everyone else, it's an easy role. Stay on the outside, keep your width, have a little bit of fun. Ollie looks nothing like Terry, like nothing like who he is. Like, if Ollie had produced this in his rookie year, I would have said rookie at best. Like, at best. Not a top 10 player. And
Right.
I mean this with respect. Genuinely play him in the VFL and give him that ridiculous job you gave Jackson Binns in the VFL, where Jackson Binns could just do what he wanted. The most ridiculous decision by this football club in the world. They knew Jackson Binns wasn't the level. They knew everything wasn't going to work. So they gave Jackson Binns this cushy little job so he could Mickey Mouse win the BNF when they knew they weren't persevering with him. It was the biggest fraud in the world. Give Ollie that job, because that job here could be the year. Because genuinely, that I said it last year, the halfback role is going to ruin his career. Right? It's going to ruin his career. Spot on equality, and that's why it's ruined his career. Yeah. Ruined his career. Because
he gets
the Ollie I know and love, wow, man. Go back and watch him at Vic Country. Wow. And it's sad.
So we get to 3.8. Let's move along. Get to Will Hayward. Played a lot further up the ground. I don't really know what we're going to do with him. I don't really have a perception of him. What's yours?
My first instinct is, and this, I'm just reading my notes now. I've had to open my Excel. But in capitals, I've got been here 3 weeks. He's like the rest of the dickheads. So you can see I was very upset. Raw pom. He's not very nice. And what I mean by that is, look, I don't mind him playing this high up the ground role. Someone's got to do it. And it can't be Harry McKay if we're a serious football club. Right? But he really caught the fumbles and the fidgets, which I've never seen from Hayward at Sydney. Like, which is weird. But outside of that, scoreboard impact ranked elite for his position playing that high half forward. I thought he made himself incredibly available for the marks. He worked high up the ground. I think if you compare him, a good comparison for the role would be Ryan Mansell, who played for them. Big Ryan Mansell fan, or as I like to call him, Mr. Conti. Fantastic performance. I like this role. This role here, though, for me, is when Carlton are kicking ass, taking names. That's where Hayward's going to shine. This is an okay game for me, Terry. This is what I would expect, how the game went, how this did.
I'm not shocked at he and Ollie Florent, and we'll get to Ben Ainsworth shortly, maybe Hayward was the best out of the three, depending on how you saw it. I remember all new recruits having this happen to them in their first game, round one against Richmond. I remember Blake Acres' first game. Remember he dropped that mark late in the game. Maybe it was the draw year. Maybe I've got my years mixed up. I do think also there was a lot of, call it pressure going into the game. Like they just had to beat Richmond. These boys are coming off a week where it was emotional. I think from here on in, we'll see them settle.
Oh, look, I've got no, look, I'll be honest. And Josh, look, I do actually think these are his strengths, Josh. The thing with, look, there is a very derogatory term about a female sanitary product that Sydney fans call Will Hayward when he played for them, because he plays one good game and then goes missing. I think they don't understand his game. That Will Hayward plays this role as the link between midfield and forward, which is horrible when you are playing this type of game, because this type of game, you don't want that role. And I thought he stuck to his task. This is important. These Reds on the wing. So when Michael Voss keeps boring the crap out of you saying we've changed, I will explain what he means. He needs us to keep the width, because the width opens the corridor. The width forces the team opposition to spread. It doesn't allow them to condense us in the middle. It's very easy at the minute for us to get sucked in. I thought Hayward, that will pay us back should Michael Voss implement it properly. Look, this game could be a 10, Terry.
I'll tell you what, he could celebrate a goal.
Look, about time some twat celebrated a goal as well, because our celebrations this year have been horrific.
It was elite, his celebration. Yeah, he'll have his game. It'll come. He works too hard for it not to. I think the game rewards the players that play with that work ethic. He gets a 5 for his game on Thursday. We move along. We get to Ollie Hollands. He's like just not there. He looked so clean in the preseason. He just doesn't have that same cleanliness about him. Did you see it the same way?
I think people forget, do you know what I mean? Doing it in front of your dad, but then doing it in the bright lights Thursday night
Yeah.
It's a total different thing. This, like, I love Elijah, so full caveat. The Hollands boys, fucking love them. But like a dad with my kids, I've got to be honest, absolutely terrible. Like, genuinely, like, bang bad. Bang bad. Horrible. Easiest role in that midfield forward group as well, because everyone else is doing the hard things for you. But genuinely, look, Helen Keller would be a better sniper than Elijah Hollands at the minute. Like, genuinely, it's horrible. Like, I can't say anything nice about it. He ran a bit. He's probably the only highlight. His running looks good. That's good. But
no, he covers it well. It was interesting at the start of the game because he had that first hit up kick to Harry on the lead, and I thought, okay, great. He'll activate. You know, sometimes you need an early touch to go your way. And yeah, I think Gavin says it here. It just seems a step off.
He does. Last week, it felt like his brain had wrote the check before his body could catch it.
Yeah.
This week, it felt like his brain has wrote a Monopoly check and his body is trying to pay for Coles with the Monopoly money. It was horrible, Terry. Like,
he's the guy that has, if you look at the entire list or everyone that played on Thursday night, he's the guy that can change the angle when the pressure comes, and he can do something with his kicking. He cuts an angle like very few in the team can. I think he's part of the solution to what happens when the pressure hits and you want to use the width of the ground. And so I think there's a common theme here. It's just like, they just got to settle. Like, just settle a little bit. Easier said than done when everything's being microanalyzed. But I mean, this is the game. This is the sport. This is Carlton Football Club.
The only positive I can give from a coaching perspective is you are, as a coach, always happy when someone keeps trying to do the right thing with absolutely dog shit technique. But you are always happy because that shows that you're going to be willing to put yourself out there. I like the fact he attempts it. I'm hoping this week off, he has some nice pita bread, some nice dips, goes down the lake, puts his feet in that pond.
Play some golf.
Yeah, play golf. Like, genuinely worrying though, because I've never seen anyone fall in a lake playing golf. So that's a worry in itself. And I played a lot of golf. It's there. What's annoying from someone that watched a lot of his draft, I would say ceiling wise, top 3 of our players. So that's why it's really annoying, because he's easily bottom 3 at the minute.
Yep. 3.7 for Lige. Then we get to Benny Ainsworth. This is Motlop. This is Jesse Motlop.
You know what? I remember doing a video when Motlop got injured, and I made an off-the-cuff remark saying, genuinely excited about scratching my head to some other twat playing that role. And in fairness, I didn't see it last week, so I was like, maybe it was just an off-the-cuff week. Like, maybe the role's gone. Maybe that's just Motlop's role. Now, I want to caveat this because I feel like it's quite easy to bully Voss. And trust me, I enjoy having a pop at Voss. But I'm going to be honest here. This one makes a little bit more sense to Michael Voss because this is the role that he did play at Gold Coast. Gold Coast loved him around stoppage as a point of difference. Dewey went to him all the time. And sometimes it does pay off. It did definitely downgrade how he played, but this is what he does. It makes sense to do it. Does it make sense to do it for nearly 90% of the game? Absolutely not. But fair play to Vossi. This is closer to the player that you make that role. If this is a role, Ainsworth makes sense because at least he's got Preve. But genuinely, Terry, we've paid for him to be a small forward. Like, I think we've got too many midfielders, genuinely, by the case that I'm seeing a winger play half forward. Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Isn't he more of a wing? Isn't he more of a hybrid half forward for Carlton?
Yeah. Look, for me, him and Hayward need to be on the wings. If we're doing that stupid thing, a key forward leads up the ground, I want Ainsworth that side so he goes deep. That key forward crosses him, and then Hayward goes up the ground on the other end. Genuinely, though, Terry, like, no offense, everyone's wanking off Zack Williams because he kicked a goal. Ben Ainsworth is 5 times better than Zack Williams at the forward line. Like, if Ben Ainsworth was accredited 10 minutes at forward pocket, he would have kicked 6. So, yeah, I need this role to go quickly. Like, Michael, if you're watching this, you are playing an inside mid-forward in Cooper Lord on the fucking wing. So if you want a 5th rotation in the midfield, he's got a mullet, mate. Not Ainsworth. Please. Please. Give Lord them minutes. Give Lord them minutes and keep this guy in the forward line.
So a 2.1 for BA.
Look, and it's a fucking Motlop number. Terry, please, I know you know people at the club. I need the Motlop role to die. I need it gone. I don't want to. I hate it. No one likes it. It's the worst thing I've ever seen in sport.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do, mate.
Like, you could put Gary Ablett Jr. there and it wouldn't work.
I'll just knock on the door like, oi.
Please, just look, give an old English guy something to cheer up.
Oh, dear. All right. Moving along, Lachie Fogarty. You just saw the confidence zapped. I felt for him. Did all the hard work, earned the goal, 3rd quarter start. And it was so important to kick on in the second half and start well. Don't let Richmond believe. And yeah, unfortunately, he misses the top of the goal square. And you just see the confidence zapped.
Yeah, so we touched on it in the watch along. So if people remember last year, that was, for me, that was the Jacob Hopper goal, quarter 3 last year.
Yeah.
Right, where Carlton were absolutely dominant. They were leading. Hopper kicked a goal out of his ass. And you just felt the crowd collectively go, oh no. You felt the players' heads drop. And you just knew. You were like, it was like, have you ever seen that football meme where they're having a minute silence for the fan dying? And then
Scott is in a box.
Yeah. Halfway through, the opposition starts singing Johnny's in a box. And there's that guy with the helmet going, you just knew it was going to happen. Like, that was what happened. The club need to explain this to me, because everything I'm seeing at the minute from all the other teams, and this was last year as well, no one cares about tackles unless you kick goals in the forward line, and no one cares about contested ball unless you generate something from it. And we seem absolutely fascinated with these two facets. Lachie Fogarty has been a great servant, but he has reached the standard. For me, he lived in the forward line, Terry. Why aren't we playing Ben Ainsworth there? He's a natural goal kicker. He's a born killer. Like, Fogarty used to play midfield for Geelong. Like, give him that role. He likes a scrap.
You could swap heat maps with Fogarty and Ben Ainsworth from what we've seen. Let me just get Ben Ainsworth up. Let's have a look. So this was Ben. Oh, sorry, that's Elijah. Where are we? Fuck this up. Ollie, Will, Elijah.
It's the next one there.
Oh, Ben, Lachie. Ben, Lachie. Ben, Lachie.
Yeah, like, I just don't get it, man. Like, there's certain things we're doing. Like, I don't want anyone to feel negative. There's certain things they're doing that I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Keeping your width. That's a massive thing. Trying to be a little bit more intuitive in the way you move the ball. Using handball chains. Not relying on contests. Not doing stupid shit like going long all the time. Trying to keep the ball in retention phases. Love it. And then there's just other things we do, and it's almost like you've taken the hymn book of 1980 and like Michael Voss is living some kind of victory tour vicariously with our players. This is a role I would have expected in the 90s. But in 2026, where the game is high scoring, call me old-fashioned, forwards kick goals. Like, yeah, cool. And to answer equality, spot on. He was a top assist player, but I'll say what I said about Michael Owes and Matthew Owes, and I've been proven right. If Owes is your top goal kicker, you've got fucking problems in the small forward line. If Fogarty is your leading score involvement goal assist guy, you've got fucking massive problems. And look, Fogarty for me is the next cab off the rank. I want to see Flynn Young. I want to see Taylor Byrne. If we're giving players 55, 60% game time who are meant to be fit, give me something else.
Well, Flynn Young, second week in a row now. I know that they've only been playing practice matches, but he's been hitting the scoreboard in the reserves consistently. So I love what I see from Taylor Byrne in glimpses. I would go Flynn Young first before Taylor Byrne.
I agree.
So 2.6 for Lachie Fogarty. Then we get to Mitch McGovern. Started as a forward, swung back late. Did we accidentally find it with Mitch? Is this the way to keep him engaged?
Look, we talked about this quite a lot last year, and I remember the chat was split on this, but when you're like top 3 goal kicker for a side that was absolutely banging goals in for Adelaide, the fact we've had him down the back beggars belief. The fact that up till last year he hadn't trained with the forward group for 3 years was absolutely mental as well. But you saw here, like, the most simplest thing that no one ever does, forward pocket lead up to half forward. Such a simple lead. You see it 100 times every game. You maybe see it twice in Carlton. I really enjoyed that because it takes so much pressure off the midfield. It gives them an actual short target as opposed to trying to drive one to the goal square. It allows Carlton to reset. It allows Carlton to change its structure. And more importantly, allows you to change angles. And angles are so important in the football world because when you can change angles, you get better leads, you get better looks. And also that run creates space in behind. It was just unfortunate that space in behind was Lachie Fogarty, not Ben Ainsworth. But genuinely, he gave a forward masterclass to guys that have been trained as forwards for 4 years, and he doesn't even know where the forward line is. That is a little bit of a concern for me, Terry, because he looked like he'd played forward before, even though he hadn't for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a very selfless guy. I really enjoyed listening to him. I don't know if you saw the interview with in the rooms with Carlton media. He's speaking like a guy that any game could be his last game. He's about to play his 100th game for the club, get his name on the locker, and he's like, "Oh, don't know yet. Got to get picked for the Melbourne game." There's a real gratitude for every minute that he plays, and yeah, like I said earlier, maybe we found Plan B. McGovern, Zack Williams, starting positions, switch them around mid-game, give everyone a different look.
You know, if anyone at Carlton is serious, this is you pair Moya with this guy. Because if Mitch can teach him 50% of his football IQ, Moya will be one hell of a footballer. Of how to stay engaged, how to make them selfless runs. And that's what it is. I feel like at times a lot of Carlton players, everyone likes to pan Voss, so do I at times, for the silly things that happen. Players also need to get a good panning from Nan. And he does them selfless leads. He made them leads all the time when Carlton were blazing it over his head and stuff. And that's something that Ashton needs to learn. If Ashton can hone that and go, sometimes it's not going to fall my way. Sometimes the guys in front of me are going to do stupid shit. But I'll keep making it in the hopes that they'll do it. That's what Mitch did. And I enjoyed it. I hope to see it against Melbourne. I think that's where you can hurt Melbourne.
5.7 for Mitch. Then we get to Harry. I must say, on the replay, I think I was a bit... on the replay, I mean, I was harsh on the night. I thought he went to ground way too easy, and I still think he did go to ground, very easy. But when I watched the replay, I realized I wasn't giving his opponent, which was Noah Bolter, enough respect. But yeah, Harry's such a fascinating watch.
It's really interesting. Like when you're in Carlton circles, there's kind of an echo chamber, I find. Like Carlton content is just like an echo chamber. And one of the things that always makes me laugh when I follow other teams and having the benefit to do that is Carlton fans really praise tackles from key forwards and running up the ground, where the opposition fans are like, why is Dan McStay halfway up the ground? Get him in the goal square. Kick me a goal. And genuinely, I'm the same. Like, this guy's paid money not to look good on the members' wing, taking a mark, to kick snags. It's all I want. It's all I want. This role blags my head, bro. Like, why does his heat map look like one of the album covers of Ed Sheeran? For a start. Genuinely, like, it looks like that. Like, what he's got, like, I don't get it. You've got nearly $1 million footballer. It's okay, though. He's running up the ground. That's good. That's good. Why did Richmond get back into the game? The simplest thing. They played Tom Lynch as deep as possible for forcing Lewis Young back, which then creates all that space from fullback from Carlton till its next line halfback, while the other defenders worry about forwards leads. Creates a massive amount of gap, which then, when something's condensed, means there is space and opportunity to run in behind, a la Ryan Mansell, who we'll talk about later. Carlton take away that advantage as soon as this guy is talking to his mates in the members wing at the MCG. You've lost that benefit because Kemp doesn't have that control. Mitch McGovern doesn't have that control. I'm glad you've mentioned Bolter. Bolter absolutely battered him. And Bolter couldn't laugh more when Harry goes up the wing because Bolter then slot in just around half back for them to be the aerial interceptor. If Carlton tried to bite the kick, game over. If we're serious next week, he has to be in that goal square 24/7. 24/7. That's where he's got to be. It's genuinely alarming. I hate this role, Terry. This role was stupid when we had two key forwards. It's even more stupid now.
Who's the player? Who's the player that can do this work up the ground? Is that Hayward? Sort of looks like he was doing it.
A giant. Hayward. McGovern. This is a crazy concept, Carlton. Crazy this. Just don't do the loopy long kick down there as well. Crazy concept. Like, this is what worries me because on the one hand, Michael Voss is saying we're a different football club. Right? We're a different football club. Then on the other hand, this role still exists, which indicates, oh, that's cool. We'll just bomb the fucker up there. So, crazy to me. Crazy to me. So, you know who I would maybe do it in this game because I don't think he did anything. We'll come on to him in a bit. Hudson O'Keeffe, give him that. Okay.
We will get to him. So 4.6 for Harry McKay. We move on. We get to Brody Kemp. Also a bit of a swingman role.
Got to keep moving forward, Terry, says Michael Voss, but then we bring back Rose like you remember in 2023. I love it. Look, this one's a weird role. And this is where I thought, like, I see my main man, Billy's in chat. Good Richmond man, incredible human being. So be kind to him, chat. I'd love his interpretation of this. I think Ben Miller's gettable. I think Campbell Gray, when he went down back, he's gettable. And Noah Bolter can't do it all. He's very good, but you can overrun him. I felt we made it incredibly easy on Ben Miller and Noah Bolter's partnership that no big guy stayed forward ever. Like Uze was in the box going, I was a little bit worried about Ben Miller or Harry McKay, but I'm not now. They're playing halfback. Like, genuine. And this is what annoys me. One of them's got to stay there. I do like the fact that I think he makes selfless leads, but we don't look for him. So, look, I do think he's a forward. It's worth persevering with. If I was Ashton Moyer, though, I should be the second forward here. Surely Kemp's gettable.
I still think I think they'll persist here. I think for at least 5 to 6 games, getting back up to speed with the level and the role. This was a starting point last year, and then what did it last? 5 games before he went down?
Yeah, look, as the third forward, I like it. Playing this central position, I don't like it. And it's weird that this was very Charlie Curnow, right? This was very Charlie Curnow. If you remember towards the back end of last season, we saw Charlie Curnow pop up at halfback. We saw him work up the ground with Harry, and then we used to laugh that Lachie Fogarty was full forward.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Like, I don't, like, you've got to have a big guy in the forward line. So if it's not Harry, it has to be Brody. He can't be Hudson O'Keeffe. He's 2 years old. So why are you making it easy for them to, 1, defend, 2, exit out of defence, and 3, not giving yourself an outlet to create a stoppage in the forward half and relieve pressure? Because now all stoppages become, I think we're down 25%, I think Woody told me last night, on stoppages in the game. So now it's becoming even more of a premium, so you can go, the best place to defend is your forward half. So, and to do that, you need a big lummox there. Mental.
Yeah. So 3.4 for Brody Kemp. Then we get to this.
Who's saying put Fog in the middle? I didn't say that.
Then we get to this man, Mark Pittonet. It's 2 really strong performances in a row.
Can I just say, where are the dots, Terry?
Hey, please. Now! Say something! Someone now!
Making amoebas now. Making amoebas. Look at it. We're moving. Genuinely, I'm absolutely loving everything about Pittonet's game. Like, genuinely. I am loving the score launches. Elite for hit-outs to clearance success. Hit-outs to advantage he's always good at. I'm loving that score launch. I'm loving the scoring involvement chains. And I'm loving what he's doing. So, like, suddenly now, to kind of answer FS, why I don't like Hewett and Cripps in there, he's now Pittonet is mobile. He's kind of negating what one of the big guys did last year for us when Pittonet was about as mobile as the goalpost. He's working. So now you can get a little bit more ostentatious with your midfield lineup. Because what I do love, where you don't really get a stat for as well, is notice when the ball hits the deck, he takes a guy out. He keeps people away from the ball. A lot of them ground ball gets that Jagga's got is because Pittonet's almost been like a bouncer, just knocking them out, just knocking them away from the ball, giving him time. I really like what Pittonet's doing. I said it in the preview. I said it with Terry, and I'll say it again. This guy is the last bastion of the big ruckman. And I think he's taking it personally. He's saying, we're not dead yet. It's not all these young whippersnippers. There's still a role in this game for old school big guys. And you know what? Credit to him. I'm loving Mark Pittonet, man. Like, absolutely loving it, Tez.
I love it. I love the statement that he's made. And just to reiterate, like, I don't expect him to be an All-Australian ruck. I don't expect him to even be viewed as an A-grade ruck. I just expect him to be the competitive guy that he is. I mean, he's got a pretty interesting, his first 3 opposition rucks will be Grundy, Nank, and it'll be Max Gawn, followed by Tristan Sherry. So that, probably 3 of the best 4 there. Nank, don't know where you view him. So just compete at a high level, give your midfielders first use, block for your midfield, play a role. I don't understand why he was viewed through this lens that he had to be peak Dean Cox. He's just not that. He's Mark Pittonet.
Terry, we live in a generation, mate, where new shiny things are more exciting than old school values. Do you know what I mean? People, look, the old school values are dead, aren't they? It's boring to be married and have 2 kids. People want you to be touring Fiji with a Maserati and a 6-pack and 8 girls on a yacht. Old school things are dead. But guess what? When shit hits the fan, old school values are important. Mark Pittonet wins taps, wins them to advantage. Is a nightmare to get behind and around. And you know what as well? I want to give Mark Pittonet a shout out because last year Carlton were massive liars. There was so many lies coming out of the football club last week. I've never heard so much rubbish from the club. Externals affect internals. The fans are to blame for losing. Luke Sayers saying, honestly, that dick pic wasn't for a chick, it was for my doctor. And Mark Pittonet's best lie. He looked down the camera and said he wasn't aware of what Sam Doherty said. And it was the only lie that I believed because he delivered it with such conviction. And he even did that shocked laugh when he was told. Well done, Mark. Hitting targets on and off the field. The first person to lie to me this week, and I believed it. Well done, Pitt. Long may it continue.
That's very good.
Honestly, watch it after this show. Absolute lie. But it was the way he sold it when they actually told him, and he giggled. But he did that shock giggled, and I was like, nah, bro. You're a liar.
You heard it. We all heard it. We all saw it. So,
well done, mate. Well done.
I love him. What's he got here? Ah, mate. 6
Hey,
points.
so what now? Say something. So what now?
That's a good meme, that, Terry. Well played.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I was
Can
looking
we
forward.
AI that to make that Mark Pittonet?
I can do that. Yeah, I can do that.
I think that'd
Yeah.
be great. And have Joe Rogan as Kane Corns, who this year said that you won't see any team go with a non-athletic ruckman.
Yeah. Look, he's pretty quickly becoming very valuable. I look at valuable, like in the conversation of valuable player is if they didn't play, what's the next best? And yeah, you look at the list and what it is right now. I mean, Hudson O'Keeffe, we'll get to him shortly. He's still very much developing. Reedy is kind of Pittonet with a bit more athleticism, but I still think Pitto, look, it's 2 games, good start. Hopefully it continues.
Can we just talk about as well the glow up from Pittonet? Like,
Yeah.
you know, I say it all the time. As a man, I changed. Mrs. Pond made me a better human being, 1000%. Like
Yeah.
it changes you when you really love your partner. Mark Pittonet, since getting married, bro, being in a long term, he's got a little bit of grey, salt and pepper going on. He's lost a little bit of the chunk. He carries himself with a better debate. Like something's going on there, man. Like,
Yeah.
he looks happy, doesn't he? And look, anyone who can lie to me like that, I credit. Because I didn't feel hurt that he lied to me. I felt quite honoured. He lied just to make me feel better.
Well done, Pitto. 6.9. Oh, Hudson O'Keeffe. We've gone one early. There's his heat map.
So you know what? What we were talking about earlier, I was 100% on Michael Voss's side at first because he was throwing this guy as the lead. And I thought he was breaking even on the contest. Had some nice tackle moments as well, chat, if you look there as well. So doing what I'd expect when the contest doesn't go there. Then we shifted him into the full forward, which they gave him no respect. Gibcus was on him.
Yeah.
Which that's like a lack of respect because like Gibcus is just an overgrown midfielder. It kind of annoyed me this one, Terry, because I'm glad we're persevering with this role. The second ruckman here, Pittonet in this fitness can do it 78% of the time. Hawk just needs to learn, man. And I want him to be the second, but for that to work, give him the forward responsibility as well. Give him them responsibilities. I like the fact if he's leading up the ground and stuff, he's going to learn to control, read the play, bring his mid, because how Carlton do that? They tap it down. So give him the knowledge of bringing players in. The forward craft can be learned up the ground. I've got a real horrible feeling that we're going to drop this guy soon. And for mine, I want 6 games. You're a forward ruck. We saw you kick goals last year. Refine that craft. Because long term, that takes a lot of pressure off our ruck situation. If Hudson can ruck 30% of the time, but also be a 30-goal a year player in the next 2 years, it just helps us out. I really hope we stick with him.
I look at this and I sort of look at it and I thought, well, I mean, they've dropped Reedy after 1 game, which is tough, but I do think Hudson is a better forward resting ruck than what Reedy is. And so I can see what they're trying to do there. And I'm with you. Like, if we're going to stick with him, then I think we all need to be ready for the bumps because it's going to be up and down. It's going to be inconsistent. He's going to have games where he just doesn't get anywhere near it. And then he'll have flashes where he does. And it's just, that's the question. Do we have the maturity as a club to stick with it? Because this is the list. I mean, if he was Jake Riccardi in a perfect world, then we're talking. A ruck forward that can chop out and, you know, he's pretty mobile. But I think there's something to persist with here with Hudson, and I'm glad that they did it early.
Yeah, the beeping is the washing machine is literally a door down there, so that's what you heard it, and it's not the same beeping as last night. Funny story about that, actually. The police were called. Someone fell asleep with a joint, so all them people who were saying it's probably a fire alarm your next door neighbours. You weren't far wrong, actually. It was 3 doors down. That was the beeping I could hear that you couldn't. So good memory, Gav. Good story, that. But we are in Melton. But I agree with you, Terry. Like, long term, this is like, I feel like this is like a high interest saving account with Hudson. We've got to put the time in because I think it'll pay us back long term. It does worry me that we do have previous, though, don't we, Terry, of like being very quick to drop him. There was actually a great comment here from Caden, spot on, that I do feel like Reedy is the replacement for Pittonet. Don't think he's the second. This guy can play forward, is a ruck forward. So I think this could be a long-term role. I just hope we use him not as a decoy. Just give him an actual role, man, so we can develop.
Yeah. Well, it's just been brought to my attention that Sam Walsh has hard launched a lovely lady. It's all grown up.
Ah, dear. Is this where we are?
3.7.
This is where we are now.
3.7 for Hudson O'Keeffe. All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the team. Okay. What does this tell you, Tommy, and obviously chat?
It told me what I said at the start of the game, and I know Billy's a good mate of mine, but I mean this with respect. Carlton should have enough in the tank to beat Richmond. Should. And it's why my expectations wasn't a scoreline, it was control. Some positives, the midfield is starting to purr and get a bit of control, which he should do against the people there. Some outlets are starting to do well. Genuinely concerning, though, that we're still seeing them Reds in them positions, which are modern day football. Your ability to transition off halfback and your ability to go from mid to forward very quickly. And look, wingers and forwards copping a pasting.
I'm just defining hard launch for those of you in the chat. Hard launch equals, I should say, equals.
Basically, Facebook official for us old guys.
Yeah, like Facebook official is in a relationship.
Yeah. It's nothing exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely an uptick there. Just we need a green in the forward line is what it tells me. Couple more greens in the forward line.
In an ideal world, we try and set this up so you've got your defenders and your defensive-sided players on the left-hand side of the screen. For this to really work, that needs to be pure green, that left side of your screen. I'm okay with 3 or 4, 5 even reds on the right-hand side because I think attacking players are situation-based. Like what I said about Hayward, it's game-based. The game's got to go your way. There's going to be some days where you just sat there watching as your mate feasts. But that left-hand side needs to be all green. Mm-hmm. All green.
All right. So there's a bit of improvement there. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the player of the game, which was Patrick Cripps. A big response after his lowest score of his career in the ratings last week. And then, chat, we're going to do this again because you failed miserably last week. Who won the award, the Horizon Finance Group 1%ers Award? Who had the most 1%ers in round 1? You have to get it right today. You have to. I can see them. I can feel them thinking.
Concha, who do you think had the most 1%ers? It was Lewis Young last week. Who do you think? Who do you think did it? Who do you think did it? The 1%ers. Just for Carlton, Billy.
Come on,
I actually think, let me just check that before I tell you a lie, because I respect you way too much to tell you an untruth. I do think this player in particular had the most 1%ers thus far in the week. Let me just check that. He did, yeah. So far, he had Noah Bolter was yours, if you are interested though, my friend. Noah Bolter was the 1%er king for your team. So only Rory Lobb had more 1%ers now.
Wow.
So that's updated. Yesterday's games have updated.
All right.
Rory Lobb.
Time for the reveal. The reveal of the Horizon Finance Group 1%ers Award. And it was, Christian, you nailed it. Jacob Weitering with 13 1%ers. Very good.
Like that. But the big dog's back for his crown.
There we go. There we go. Okay. Now, we're going to turn our focus to the opposition to be fair and balanced, because there's a lot that can be learned from the opposition. And so, Pommy, you're going to highlight 3 opposition players. We'll start with the first. Tell us why you wanted to highlight Jaden Short.
So, again, Billy will appreciate this. Your Richmond segment, you've stayed 2 hours for it. I respect it.
Yeah, shout out to you, Billy.
Do you know what I mean? 2 hours digesting it from a one-sided view. Now you get your reward, mate. Jaden Short. Why I like this? So go back and see what I talked about with Carlton's backline. This guy was a constant menace. This guy was a constant pain in the ass for Carlton, working high up. Now, I want you to look at his heat map. Interesting that modern-day teams, particularly Uze's team, Kingsley's team, their defensive winger is almost a halfback that's playing attacking. That's how they play their defensive winger. We have it winger goes backwards. They have it halfback works higher up the ground, and we cover that loss there. I thought he was a constant threat for Carlton. His link-up play is amazing. The assurity when everything is going wrong is really there. Ranked over 1,100 net meters gained.
Wow.
Now, this is where I was telling you when I was critical of Ollie Florent. Ollie Florent was ranked very poor for attacking output. The difference, this guy was ranked elite for attacking output. So similar defensive numbers, but their ability to create things from the back line. Jaden Short was terrific. And that's what Carlton need to look at with Jaden Short. Maybe don't be so defensive in the wing. Just give one of these guys the offensive role.
You mustn't forget, this guy's a premiership player. How many premierships was he there for? All of them? Billy, I'm sure you can confirm. This guy is literally a multiple-time premiership player. I'm pretty sure.
2-time.
Okay.
BNF 2020, 2019, and 2020. Cheers. Hey, Billy.
Billy. So a best and fairest in a premiership year. That's the old Brett Ratton. That's the big one. He missed out on 2017 with injury. Okay, there you go. So this is a serious winner. Next up, Ryan Mansell. What was it about Ryan Mansell that you wanted to highlight?
So I want you to see, look, playing quite high up the ground, isn't it? So this is like the Hayward role of the wing. So this is why it sometimes goes your way, sometimes goes against you. But I've been hot on Mansell. He's a player that I want. Elite for his crumbing possessions, winning the ball on the ground. Elite for uncontested marks. Always an outlet for his team to change the angles. Constant pain when Carlton were moving the ball off the halfback line. Ranked elite for intercepts for his position. Tackles inside 50 elite. But also something special. Well, I keep saying, the role of the defensive forward doesn't exist in the league anymore because you can still kick goals. So he was a better defensive forward than anyone we had, but he also kicked more goals than anyone we had. You can do both. We are in 2026. Might shock you. Men and sportsmen can multitask. They choose not to, but you can do it. So Ryan Mansell, and honestly, as I like to call him, Mr. Conte, he's dating the beautiful Monique Conte. A little bit's rubbed off on him, I swear. And I mean that in a nice platonic way. Because since he's been dating her, he is in another level. Very good player. Absolutely love Ryan Mansell's game. Brilliant.
Yeah. And then finally, Sam Grill. This is your man from the draft.
Grill in the mist. You know what? I did a video as well on this guy. And there was a couple of Carlton fans in there going, who? Laughing. And I'm like, oh, you wait till you see him play. You won't be hooing then. Again, this is why it's annoying. Why I'm so harsh on our halfbacks. And if you're going to pin blame on Carlton, the wingers and the halfbacks at this football club, I don't think make any other team. I don't think any other team would have our players that we play in them roles in their team. And Sam Grills is case in point. It's easy to play this role when you're not an idiot. You look at Sam Grill for his first game, right? A staggering 612 meters gained by himself and what he did. Constantly taking the game on. And one thing I want to compliment him for, out of all of our backline and theirs, the least meters gained through kicks, but the highest retention of ball possession. Showcasing already at 19, 18 years old, he understands the moments of the game, when to be ostentatious, when to take the game on, but two, when just to hit that short kick, retain possession, because retain possession is king in today's game when you're under pressure. I thought if I was given coaches' votes and I was a Carlton man, I'd have this guy 3 votes. I would have been like, genuinely, situation, child, made our small forwards look amateur at times. Great performance. Going to be one hell of a footballer is old drill in the mist.
Very impressive kid. All right.
Yes.
That is us. That is the ratings for round 1. It's done. We get a nice little break now. A reset. Very important for the Blues. They had to win the game. Tigers were always going to be asking the question. The pressure was going to be there, inside, outside. It was all there. And now Carlton hopefully go away, get the break. Welcome back. I'm trying to think. I don't know if Francis Evans is available straight away to come back in. If I just go to the injury list here for Carlton. So the players listed here that will be available either round 3 or 4 will be Adam Chera, Adam Sard, Francis Evans. He had what is it? He had a knee issue, and Matthew Cottrell round 3 or 4. So we'll see what happens there, but obviously get a game into Carroll and Cowan. They'll be back up to speed. Nick Newman will have served his suspension, and now it's a question mark as to whether he comes into the side straight away or not. But yeah, man, I think for Carlton, we just got to chip away, and that's what it's going to be. It's quite bizarre to see like the savage reaction. It's like, didn't we all know this is how it was going to be? It's going to be a tough, long, bumpy year. We're going to be frustrated for the year. It's going to be one of those years.
Hunter, 8.3. So for an inside midfielder, goals, last year's ratings, it would have made it a 10. This year, the ratings are dependent on that position. So goals are the cherry on top. We're giving you points for the meat in the sandwich, the substance.
Yeah.
So it does help. So 8.3 to answer your question. See if anyone can work out as well, Sam Grill, how much grill is in Scrabble. But yeah, I agree with you, Terry. I agree. Like, look, it's interesting. I think the wording from the club the last week almost sounds like a rebuilding club. Have you got that vibe?
Well, the thing is, Voss said reset in the SEN studios back end of last year. He said it's a reset. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, you know what I find fascinating though, Terry, is I find that the wording is rebuild. Like Graham Wright saying that it's not just about win-loss. Michael Voss saying don't look backwards, look forwards, building. I feel like subtly there's like a psy-op rebuild. It feels like we're kind of that. So I mean, look, genuinely, based on the first 2 games, we're a goal better than Richmond, which would put us, 14th, 15th? Which my preseason prediction was 10th to 14th.
I mean, look, it's pretty clear. I don't need Graham Wright or Voss to tell me that it's a rebuild to know that we're definitely transitioning or resetting, refreshing, rebuilding, rehashing.
I love the fact we're so scared of saying the R word.
Yeah, I know. I was like, who cares? Like, when we didn't go for Houston and we went to the future and got Jagga, that was, I think, a turning point. The fact that, Harry Dean, we're pushing games into him, putting games into Carroll, Cowan, like back end of last year, all these kids, planning for Dean, planning for Cody Walker, like obviously Jagga, like I don't know. we're just not going to be winning the flag this year or in the top 4 mix, top 6 mix. It's just not that year.
You know what we should call it? I've just used the thesaurus, Billy. You know what I really like? Refashion.
Refashion.
That's beautiful, isn't it? We're not in a rebuild. We're in a refashion. We're in a refashion. No, you see, look, I disagree with rebuilders going to the draft. I think rebuild also, I would say Collingwood have been in a perpetual state of rebuilding. Like, you look when they won the flag, no key forward targets. They've started to bring that, made finals. You look at Geelong when they last won the flag to the time they next did. They changed their game style without going to the draft. So I think that you can rebuild without going to the draft. Like, I think for Carlton, people think rebuild. You've got Harry Dean, top 3 player. You've got Jagga Smith, a top 3 player. Then you've also going to get Cody Walker, another top 3 player. So effectively, you have gone to the draft. You've just cheated, per se, with the father-son NGA rules and paid for Jagga Smith a talent. But then you're also going to be looking at established players, aren't you? So you've got Hayward in, you've got Ainsworth in, players that traditionally you would have drafted, but it's for the now. I think when I look at Carlton, if I was honest, hey, Lana, well done. Hey, that's my girl. Well done. But I think if you sacked Nick Austin now and gave me the job, I would be looking at 8 players in 2 years. I would be 8, and they would be predominantly width players. And dare I say it, if Graham Wright said, Dan, I need you to build me a list to win the flag now, I'd be doing the dreaded thing, buying halfback flankers. But halfback flankers that are pacey, that are points of difference players. So I think we can do it. So yeah, refashion is what I'm going to go. We'll call it the POM refashion. I like that word. Doesn't sound so bad, does it? I can cope with a refashion. I'm just going to put a new lick of paint on it.
No, it was just bizarre. I thought there was a lot of talk preseason, like everyone just chill out, temper your expectations. Like we're in a transition. I think there was 20 players out of contract before they started re-signing a few of them. But yeah.
You know what? We could be like, the dodgy Samoan builders. So a good mate of mine, I won't reveal his name, but he actually bought the house 2 doors down from us.
Oh.
And the place was an absolute fucking shithole. Like, genuinely an absolute dive. I think it used to be like a drug den or something. But genuinely, he went out and got like 4 cladding. You know that like modern day cladding that's on the front of every house?
Yeah.
And he hot glued it. They sprayed it with this dusty grey. He got on the roof. They pressure washed the tiles. They painted them black. Like, bought a new kitchen. Like, genuine. It's a proper refashion, dodgy refashion. Like, genuinely. But I think he bought the house I think it was like 350k and sold it for like 700 because it's a 4-bed. And I laugh because I walked the dog, and the other day they were complaining because the people that bought it have rented it out, and they've rented it out to a lovely Indian family. They're absolutely gorgeous. They bring us food all the time. Beautiful family. But everything in the house is falling apart because all they basically did was paint over shit. Like, I couldn't stop laughing because they actually glued like they glued like the exit pipe, just glued it, should be drilled in, and it fell down during the storm. And I was pissing myself because I was there when he glued it and said, that'll fall off, mate, when it's wet. And he's like, nah, bro, you worry too much for me. You worry, it'll be right. And genuinely hilarious that the poor new buyer is having to fix the dodgy job. But good mate of mine, Samoan lad, I love the hustle. Made 400k. Half-assed the job. Good lad.
Shout out to him.
He's a doggies fan as well, so that might give it away if you see him on Twitter.
Yeah. Guys, that's it. There's your ratings round 1. Pommy, thank you very much for that. Have a nice little week off. We'll be here in a couple of weeks. The rating show will return, I guess, on the Monday after the next game because it'll be a Sunday afternoon game. So we'll see you in round 3 for the next rating show, and have a great Sunday, everyone. Go Blues.
Go Blues.